Հայկական բարեգործական ընդհանուր միության Հye Geen մասնաճյուղի անունից բարի երեկո ձեզ, սիրելի հեռուստադիտողներ, ես Լուսինեն Ալբանդյանն եմ։ Այն հեռուստադիտողները, ովքեր հետևում են մեր հաղորդումներին, գիտեն, որ հաղորդումները վարում ենք ես եւ Մերի Մուրադյանը, այսօր մերին չի լինի, կլինեմ միայն ես, եւ ինչպես խոստացել էինք մեր նախորդ հաղորդումների ժամանակ, կշարունակենք ցուցադրել մարտի 5-ին Woodbury University-ում, Woodbury համալսարանում տեղի ունեցած մեր կոնֆերանսի ելույթներից եւս երկուսը, բազմաթիվ հեռուստադիտողների խնդրանքով պիտի շարունակենք այս հաղորդաշարը, որովհետև բավական մեծ արձագանք գտավ կոնֆերանսը մարտի 5-ի, որը նվիրված էր կրթությանը։ Այսօր առավել քան երբևէ կրթության նշանակության մասին խոսել ավելորդ չէ, որովհետև ինչպես գիտեք, սիրելի հեռուստադիտողներ, մենք երեք մասից բաղկացած մեր հայ ժողովուրդը, այն է Հայաստանը, մեր պետականությունը պահպանող երկիրը, Արցախը եւ Սփյուռքը, այսինքն դրսում ունենալ ուժեղ սփյուռք, որպեսզի կարողանանք աջակցել Հայաստանին եւ Արցախին, այսօր շատ կարեւոր է եւ մեր երիտասարդները պիտի հասկանան, որ ազգապահպանության ծանր բեռը իրենց վրա է, այսինքն այսօր պատրաստվող մասնագետները վաղը պիտի ներկայացնեն մեր ազգը, պիտի կարողանան կայանալ բոլոր համայնքներում, որպեսզի կարողանան եւ ապահովել իրենց ընտանիքները եւ կարողանան աջակցել հայ համայնքին, թե իրենց երկրներում, որտեղ որ իրենք ապրում են, թե Հայաստանում, մեր հայրենիքում։ Ուզում եմ հիշեցնել, որ մարտի 5-ին էր conference-ը, Hye Geen-ի մասնաճյուղը, բարեգործականի Hye Geen մասնաճյուղը ամեն տարի, արդեն 13 տարի է, ամեն տարի կոնֆերանսներ է կազմակերպում, ընդգրկելով համայնքում ակտիվ եւ բանիմաց եւ ուսյալ խոսնակների։ Այս տարվա conference-ը մարտի 5-ին էր եւ նվիրված էր կրթությանը, ինչպես արդեն ասացի։ Conference-ի վերնագիրն էր Armenian Youth and Higher Education Challenges and Opportunities։ Այսինքն ինչպես նախկինում էլ լսել եք, մեր հիմնական նպատակն է երիտասարդներին ընդգրկել հայապահպանության գործի մեջ եւ այս կոնֆերանսն էլ տարբեր չէր մյուսներից, որովհետեւ մասնակիցների մեծ մասը երիտասարդներ էին, խոսնակները հրավիրված էին տարբեր տեղերից, հիմնական խոսնակը Մերի Փափազյանն էր, սրա մասին արդեն խոսել ենք։ Այսօր երկու ելույթ կդիտենք միասին։ Դոկտոր Նելի Քազման Թիթիզյանի ելույթը եւ դոկտոր Ալիս Պետրոսյանի ելույթները։ Նախ կդիտենք Նելի Քազման Թիթիզյանի ելույթը, հավանաբար Նելին իրեն այնտեղ կներկայացնի, բայց ես կրկնեմ մեկ անգամ եւս, որ ներկայումս Նելի Քազմանը Senior Executive Director of the University of La Verne, San Fernando Valley Campus in Burbank, այս պաշտոնում ինքը արդեն 26 տարի է, ընդհանրապես 30 տարի կրթության համակարգի մեջ է եւ Hye Geen-ի ձեռնարկներին մի քանի անգամ մասնակցել է դոկտոր Քազմանը։ Լսենք դոկտոր Քազմանի ելույթը։
First of all, I must say that I'm very, very excited to be introduced by you, Vikram. It goes to show a culture shift because we're so used to being introduced by more mature, I don't want to say elderly, but more mature individuals. So just the fact that a young person introduced me is a huge honor. Thank you very much. I also want to thank the AGBU Hye Geen organization and all the volunteers who have supported us to be here today and to be able to make a difference, hopefully, with the 30 minutes that's given to us, now I guess 20 minutes, to make a difference and to drive a certain message that hopefully will inspire you to take your next step. One of the things, there are certain challenges being the third speaker because you really don't know what the other speakers have in mind to present. And honestly, I was clueless and my mind was racing very, very fast trying to figure out what the other other speakers are going to say, and how am I going to just sort of coordinate my speech? But I have a PowerPoint presentation in the back, and I'm thinking I cannot change that. But I also want you to see that it's a confession I'm making. Perhaps I should have gone the extra effort to find out what the other speakers were about to cover, but I'm glad I did not. Because you're going to find out that I am duplicating the two president's speeches, because the whole message is that there are some common themes in today's world, and there are certain skills, mindset, attitudes, and values that we have to develop in order for us to be successful. So regardless whether it's Nellie Catherine, Dr. Papazian, or Dr. Albert Carney, it doesn't really matter. We as educators, we have come to realize that this is what it is. This is what the world is, and this is what we need to do in order for us to advance. So I have prepared a PowerPoint presentation just for you to have a visual backup and to follow me with this. I love Mahatma Gandhi, and the quote I have is because it focuses on learning. And learning is essential, not teaching. And we made that shift in education. It was all about teaching. It's all about learning. We haven't taught anything if you haven't learned what you're supposed to learn. So that's why I chose that PowerPoint, that quote. The purpose of my presentation is twofold. First is to focus on education and leadership, because they both are one and the same. It's extremely difficult to be educated without you developing your leadership skills. So the purpose of my presentation is first to emphasize the importance of education and leadership to your future. And second is to inspire the youth, or anybody for that matter in the audience, to dream big. But also to understand that everything may start with a dream, but you got to put in the effort, work hard and smart, as Albert said, in order for you to be able to achieve your goals. We live in a world, it's an interesting world. We live in a world that's constantly changing. And if you take a look at the last quarter of the past century, you realize that the world has transformed in reality. And that basically has implications on the way we live, but also on the way we make a living. So there are certain qualities, attributes, skills, values that we have to develop in order for us to be able to survive in today's world. To some degree, we are trying to prepare ourselves to an unfamiliar and unknown territories that we must basically move forward and navigate. And it's sort of oxymoron if you think about it. How can one prepare for the unknown and the unfamiliar? But we can. We can and we should, because we still have to make sense of the world in which we live and find our proper place in it. So let's take a look at how the world has changed. New economics. So we all know globalization is basically the force that's driving our economy. The global structure is globalized. We also know that there's a shift in the economy from manufacturing to knowledge economy. I'm a student of Peter Drucker at Claremont Graduate University, and he coined the term the knowledge worker. So in essence, we today, we are the knowledge worker because only less than 15% of our economy is based on manufacturing, which means 85% of our economy is based on service, information, and knowledge. That basically means that the premier resource of our economy is knowledge. And how do we acquire knowledge? How do we get that premier resource? Is through education. Politics. The global political structure has changed from bipolar to unipolar, now obviously to multipolar. And local politics, all you gotta do is turn on to Fox Channel or CNN and watch the news, the presidential news. And you're gonna see everything is about anti-establishment. Why is it that Trump is scoring so high, where really common sense, it defeats all conventional wisdom and common sense, and Sanders, on the other hand, is also making so much progress? It's because people are sick and tired of the same, because the same is not not really serving their goals and their purpose and their passion towards life and the future. So there is a lot of change going on. Then we talk about advances in technology. And President Papazian described many of these technological advances in terms of what the future might hold for us and what future careers may look like. It's even hard for us to even imagine what those careers are going to be. But also, when we talk about technology, technology is also forcing us to assume certain social identity through the media and political identity. As young people, we have to be extremely aware what type of an identity we are assuming in the virtual world. Why? Because it's there. You cannot reverse that. And when you go, employers are looking at your background and they see that identity, they're going to ask themselves the question, is this the person who I want to hire? So be mindful of that while technology is going to provide you with a lot of endless opportunities, but you got to be strategic and mindful as to how you want to utilize these tools in order for you to promote yourself and what kind of an image you want to project. Demographic shifts, I mean, just pure numbers speak for themselves. Think about between China and India, we have 1/3 of the world population. Not only that, demographics is not about just pure numbers. It's about the composition, what makes those numbers unique. 46% of 1.3 billion people in China are under age 46. At 26, are under age 26. And only 6% of 1.3 billion people in China are over age 65. So think about that. And think about what Dr. Carney said in terms of English being the primary language now in China. I was in China three times in the last 10 years. You never hear Chinese music in the restaurant. What you hear is Madonna playing. And everybody speaks English, the young people, and they all are extremely curious about our lifestyle. And they're willing to work very, very hard to acquire what we have. They want your seat in this auditorium. They want to drive your car. They want your job, by the way. And they want to work very, very hard to get what they want to get. And in this globalized world, it's not a very difficult thing. They don't have to be here. Your job can be outsourced there. So try to figure out what the competition is going to look like. Then obviously we have environmental issues, international terrorism, a lot. The reason why it's important to have a keen understanding of the context, because education must be contextually relevant. It's extremely important to think about the skills, not just in terms of the job you're going to do, but the world around your job. You have to manage your job, your profession, but also the trends, the future, because you're going to be changing 3 to 4 careers in your lifetime. And this is according to Peter Drucker. Not jobs, careers. Think about that. I mean, I'm old. I probably won't change my careers anymore. But those of you who are young, you're going to be looking at what's next. And education is not about preparing you for your next job, but for the job after. Just to show you the cause and effect relationship. Globalization. What does globalization mean? We talk about it endlessly. It's a globalized world. But think about it from a more practical perspective. Globalization means increased competition. Increased competition basically boils down to new corporate strategies. New corporate strategies means new tasks, new responsibilities. And by the way, those tasks are no longer organized around individuals. They're organized around teams. So the working structure is no longer you, like the bureaucratic organization where there's division of labor, you did your part and then expected somebody else to do. That's not the way it works anymore. New roles and responsibilities, and obviously new capabilities. And those new capabilities are not only specialized capabilities in your area, which obviously is a given. If you're going to be a lawyer, you're going to know law, right? you're going to be in finance, you're going to know finance very well, but you're going to know a lot more than that to succeed. Okay, this is the list, and we heard all these capabilities from our two speakers earlier, and these are the capabilities that employers are looking for, and they have done research by AACU, Associations of American Colleges and Universities. Research has been done, a study with, I think, about 600 employers to find out what are the skills that they're looking for. And also at the same time, they also research students to find out to what extent they feel that they are prepared as far as these capabilities are concerned. And by the way, there's a very huge gap between what employers think as far as the level of student preparation versus what students think about themselves, which goes to show that to some degree we as students, we have a little bit self-inflated idea about how capable we are, and then there is the employers giving us the score, right? So look at this list. Technical skills. This was the one that actually came closest, which means employers and students agree that this skill is, they have this skill. So the gap was only like 15%. But if you think about it, critical thinking skills, which is more analytical skills, communication, writing and written, working in teams, innovation, ethical judgment, and all the rest of the skills, there's a huge gap between what employers want to see and what students are delivering to the workforce. And the highest of all, the highest gap was between critical skills and communication skills. I want to focus on being innovative because I've taken an innovation course with Drucker again. And he is, those of you who don't know Peter Drucker, he is the father of modern management, a guru in management, and he, everything that I learned from him up until today is exactly how it shaped my mindset about the future. So he's a futurist to some degree. As far as innovation, he said the following: if a business does not innovate, it will decline, it will age and decline. And the faster the world changes around it, the faster will be its decline. I think we can take the same exact saying and apply it on us as individuals. If we don't reinvent ourselves, I don't care how old you are, if you don't change the way you think, what you believe, what you value, what you stand for, and don't put it in context of the world in which you live, you're going to decline. And the faster the world changes, the faster will be your decline. So we have to reinvent ourselves. Cultural competence is huge, and this is where Armenians have a huge advantage. I think it's important to realize things that we're good at. We're very culturally sensitive, and we have intuitively the ability to adjust our style and our values to ensure that we're able to connect with people. And I think that that's a skill that people must learn. And we already have it, we just have to enhance it and invest in it. Working with others is huge. You've got to be able to build relationships based on credibility, trust, confidence, and all the good stuff. "21st century education is about managing your own personal growth. Find your passion. Develop your leadership skills. Create your personal brand." That might come to you as a little surprise. What do you mean, Ellie? Personal brand? Yes. Companies have their own brands, right? They brand themselves. They invest so much money branding themselves. We as professionals, we also have to develop that mindset. Come up with our own personal brand, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that too. How does one find his or her passion? Identify your strengths and talents, not your interests, although they are important, but really what is it that you're good at? People seldom pay attention to what they're good at. If I ask you what you're good at, most likely you're going to scratch your head and say, hey, let me think about it. Nobody has ever asked me that question. I'm sure I'm good at something, but I can't come up with it right now, right? But if I ask you, tell me what you're not good at. Let me tell you, 1, 2, 3, 4, you start a long list, right? You gotta take the time to reflect on yourself, to go in, not just always be out. There's two worlds in which we live, the inner world and the outer world. We've gotta spend time getting into our own selves and finding out who we really are. And your passion is partly shaped by your strengths. Second, explore the motivation behind what you want to learn. I want to be a doctor. Okay, why do you want to be a doctor? I want to make a lot of money, right? Wrong. That's not a true motivation to be a doctor. Yes, making good money should be a byproduct of being a great doctor, right? But it cannot be the primary motivation of you going into medicine. So you gotta go and ask yourself those kinds of questions. And even if you already have a career, go in and ask yourself the question, why do I want to stay in this career? Or what is the next career I'm looking for, and what are the reasons behind that? Discover what makes you different and unique. Differentiation is the strategy, folks, in the future. The future market is so crowded. We're just faces. Companies are just names. So if any organization or any individual wants to go beyond that and show yourself and stand up for something unique, you gotta find the differentiation. You gotta differentiate yourself. But make sure whatever it is that you're differentiating is something that's valued by others. That's the other piece that we don't really pay too much attention. The last one, and I think the President Abbasian touched upon this, is combine your passion with livelihood, with your livelihood. Passion is important, but you also have to ask yourself the question, can I make a living studying this? Or can I study it as a hobby? I have mentored a number of young people who instantly were able to change their minds about their future, not because I gave them any kind of ideas, it's their future, it's because I walked them through the thinking process of why they wanted to study this. Can they still pursue this and that, psychology or whatever it might be, as a hobby? And some said yes, some said no, so basically that was a determining factor whether or not they're on the right track. Develop your leadership skills. This is the world in which I live. I breathe, I teach, I walk, I practice leadership. Leadership in this context basically means personal growth, professional growth, social growth, moral growth. All these factors, obviously, it's a lot more than this, but in this context, I define leadership as your personal capital, social capital, and contextual capital. Almost think about it. We know capital means a lot of money in the bank, right? But it also can mean something else. You gotta build your personal capital. Your personal capital is your own property. It does not belong to the organization. You carry it anywhere you go because it's your personal property. And how do you build that? That gives you the personal power that you need. And leadership is all about power, right? So personal power is about your personality, your traits, your values, your knowledge, your experiences. And how have you shaped those experiences, and ultimately, what have you learned from those experiences? Again, it's a question of going in and trying to find out who you are. And personality traits, I encourage all of you to take some kind of a test to find out your personality type. Some of you may have done it, but you need to do that. Because being one kind means you're not the other kind. And in life, you're going to work with people with different kinds of personalities. The Ocean model, for example, OCEAN model of personality traits, is a wonderful, very simple example of how you can basically look at that. So, the last thing I want to say is create your own personal brand, differentiate yourself, communicate your style, show your uniqueness, and I want to conclude my presentation is build yourself, but always remember, everything must start with you, but nothing ends with you. You gotta make a difference. And the best way you can make a difference is give your time to someone who needs your help. Thank you very much.
Joining the AGBU Scouts program taught me how to be responsible, a good leader, and a team player.
I didn't realize it at first, but over time I learned discipline and how to take care of myself, not just on camping trips, but in every aspect of my life.
Becoming a scout teaches you to roll up your sleeves and get involved not only in camping and hiking. We make it our goal to adopt community projects throughout the year, giving back not only to our Union community but to our local areas as well. Being an active citizen makes us a good citizen.
We all practice teamwork, whether we're monk chiefs or while working on an activity with young scouts. Working together